And I'm Isabellea Lende. Welcome to GC360. Coming up, it's midterm election season across the country, and Election Day is next week. We'll tell you what to expect and how to prepare.
Millersville hosted its annual Deep Roots Festival for the first time.
And how did Halloween go for Georgia College and its students? All this and more today on GC360. The midterm elections are next week. Here in Georgia, there's the race for governor with incumbent Republican Brian Kemp in a tight battle with Democrat Stacey Abrams. The outcome of congressional races will determine who controls that branch of the government, Democrats or Republicans. And one of the races being closely watched is right here in Georgia. That's where Republican Herschel Walker is challenging incumbent Democrat Raphael Warnock. Many experts say who gets the upper hand next Tuesday may depend on the outcome. Midterm elections are fast approaching across the country, including in Georgia. Early voting ends this Friday, November 4th, with Election Day being next Tuesday. Key races include that of the governor. The candidates for governor are Stacey Abrams as the Democratic nominee and Brian Kemp, the current governor of Georgia, as the Republican nominee. Results of local and state elections such as these often affect day-to-day life much more than that of major elections such as presidential elections, as explained by senior lecturer of political science, Dr. Benjamin Clark.
To start participating and getting engaged even at a more local level, I think can sometimes be more constructive than we always focus on who the president is, who's in Congress, and that matters, right? But probably not matters as much as who your state representative is, who your county commissioner is, right? Those kind of races, although we tend to overlook them, can have much more of an impact on your day-to-day life, right? And in general, I would say that those kind of races, we can kind of move past some of those kind of ideological debates that seem so polarizing.
Young voter turnout always tends to be very low, but for midterm local and state elections, the rate is consequently even lower.
Young people in general vote at a considerably lower rate than the general population, and especially than older people. That has a lot of consequences. One of those would be that younger people's voices are less likely to be represented in the political system. The other thing that I would point out is there's kind of a broader social concern, which would be, in general, it's true that younger people often will vote at lower rates, but what we're seeing now with younger people voting at the very low rates that they are, that raises a disquieting problem. What happens if today's cohort of younger people never start really participating? At that point, we start to look at existential questions about whether self-government, democracy are really possible, or whether that requires some kind of baseline of participation.
According to data from the Center for Information and Research on Learning and Engagement, in the 2018 midterm elections, 84% of young Georgians aged 18 to 29 registered to vote, but only 34% actually voted.
Yeah, I normally would vote, but this year, since I'm in Milledgeville, I had to apply for my absentee ballot, and deadline kind of snuck up on me. So I missed the deadline for that, so I didn't get my absentee ballot, and now it's too late for me to even vote this time unless I go home. But since I live 2.5 hours away, I can't just drive home really quickly to go do that.
I feel like we don't really know the deadlines.
Yeah, they don't really
told.
tell us things like that at school. We're kind of living in our own bubble,
Yeah.
and it's like we have other things going on, so we kind of just got passed by almost.
And no one ever wants to ask how do you vote, because it's something that I feel like everyone thinks is so common knowledge, but it's not.
When asked what his advice would be to students unsure if they would vote, this is what Dr. Clark had to say.
by actually participating, they can help to create a political culture that they actually would want to participate in. Because that's another thing that I hear a lot from students is they don't really like the way that the political culture currently is, right? It's very angry. It's driven a lot by animosity and vitriol. Because voter turnout rates are relatively low, politicians feel like they need to constantly be making their core voters angry enough to go out and show up to vote, right? That's probably not the most constructive way to kind of motivating people by anger and getting everyone really riled up over what the other side is doing is, I would suggest, not really the most healthy or constructive way to deal with all of these pressing and complex issues of government policy. Right? So, for young people who aren't really motivated by that, who don't really like that kind of political culture, the answer to that is really to go in and start participating.
The last day to register to vote was October 11th, and the last day to submit absentee ballot applications was October 28th. But you can still register to vote for the runoff elections until November 7th. The last day of early voting is November 4th, with elections on the 7th. From GC360 News, this was Isabellea Lende. Here to help us understand the importance of these elections is Dr. Scott Buchanan, Department Chair of Government and Sociology. Dr. Buchanan, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
Of course. So, with these upcoming midterm elections, what is the importance of college students and other young voters showing up to the polls?
Well, it is crucial because both the governor's race and the Senate race here in Georgia are very, very close, especially the Senate race. So, for both sides, Democrats, Republicans, they are looking to maximize the young voter turnout as much as possible.
Right, and as we saw in that story, young voter turnout is incredibly low. Do you think, especially in midterm elections, do you think that there is anything that contributes to this?
I think just in general, there's not an understanding of the importance of these midterm elections. We tend as Americans to focus on the presidential contest, but who controls Congress is just as crucial.
Right. And do you believe that there's anything that can be done, whether through government agencies or universities or even high schools, to get students to participate in these elections?
I think education is the key to make voters understand, hey, your vote counts, and especially in recent times with such close margins, whether it be 2020 or 18 or 16, every vote counts. And I think just the education of informing voters, hey, your vote can count, it is important. I think that's the key.
Right, I totally agree. And what advice would you give to students who are unsure or are not wanting to vote?
I would just say inform yourself on the issues. You have the wealth of information at your fingertips, as they say. Inform yourself and convince yourself of how important it is to cast that ballot.
Right. So if a student were to come to you and say, I want to vote, but I just feel like I am not educated enough and I don't know where to find the resources in order to make an informed decision, what would you say to them?
I would encourage them to take political science classes so that they could learn much of this, but I would direct them to various news sites, other websites out there that would help to make them a better informed citizen and voter.
Yeah, and aside from that, do you know what we could possibly do to encourage people to seek out that education that we're talking about?
I think the outreach, and we see some of this at Georgia College, I think the outreach that we do to hold rallies, hold hot dog, free hot dogs, free breakfast, whatever. I think just getting the students out to help them understand your vote is key, that your vote is crucial, and college students are our future.
Right. Well, thank you so much, Dr. Buchanan.
Glad to be here.
Thanks, Bella. This Friday, some high school students will get the chance to experience all that the Department of Communication at Georgia College has to offer. The department is hosting its first CommFest with about 35 students from several high schools. They will attend mock classes and hear from lecturers and current students. If you are one of the high school students attending this Friday's CommFest, you will get the chance to sit in this chair and host your own program. You will then be taken on a tour of Terrell Hall, the home of the Department of Communication. The activities are part of efforts to attract high school students to Georgia College and the Department of Communication.
I think it's just fun to see kind of the hands-on things that we do in this department. I think it will help them kind of make connections even with current students, make connections with us, but I think having the college students there and sort of being hands-on with them will be good for them.
Still ahead on GC360, registration for spring
at Georgia
is
College
over.
and State University.
But how was it for you? We'll have a look at the stress that comes with finding classes.
And after a 2-year delay due to COVID, Milledgeville hosts its annual Deep Roots Festival.
So they say it's a man's world? Well, I don't see anybody's name on it. While they were out doing their thing, we slowly changed all that. We changed all that. Today, women can do anything men can do. And there's one thing we're even better at.
I grew up in the housing projects of Cleveland. I didn't even know that life could be any better than it was. Education for me has been a way to get away from the agony of what was normal life. I want to be able to impact the community, not just look back on where I came from, but to reach back to where I came from and pull some people up with me. My name is David, and I am your dividend.
I think someone at my friend's school has this thing called autism. My friend's brother's son has autism. My neighbor's son has autism. My son has autism.
Autism is getting closer to home. Today, 1 in 68 children is diagnosed with autism. That's about a 30% increase in 2 years. Learn more at autismspeaks.org/sign.
Welcome back. Registration for spring 2023 ended last week, and as GC360's Gracie Howard tells us, for many students, this is a very stressful time.
At Georgia College and State University, last week was one of the most important times of the entire semester, Registration Week. Registration Week is especially important for students because they sign up for their required courses for the next semester. If students don't get into the classes they need, they may end up not being on track for graduation. Although registration can be an extremely stressful week for many, academic advisors are on hand to assist students with finding courses and professors. Georgia College sophomore Claire Young shared her experience with her advisor while prepping for registration.
She helped me figure out which courses I need to take, helped me figure out how to prepare for the T's and how to sign up for it since I'm a pre-nursing major. And she also gave me advice on what professors to take too.
While registration has already passed, Nikki Simpson, Interim Director of Academic Advising, and Amanda Williams, Lead Advisor for the College of Health Sciences, shared some of their advice for registration in the future.
Don't panic if things don't go just the way that they would like for them to, but preparation is key. If they've taken the time to build a schedule in one of our registration tools, such as College Scheduler or the Register Using Pause tool in their Student Services tab, they're going to be fine.
Registration will be open all the way through January. We want everyone to register early, wait list, find backup options, have a full schedule early because it's much easier to make adjustments versus trying to find a full schedule later on.
According to the Advising Center, it is extremely important to make sure that students have the correct CRNs or course reference numbers before registration morning in order to avoid registering for the wrong class or even the wrong semester. If any students still need help or have any questions about class registration or required courses, they are encouraged to make an appointment with their academic advisor to make sure that they are on track for graduation. For GC360, this is Gracie Howard.
Hey, for some students of Georgia College earlier this week, they got the chance to attend the Career and Internship Expo hosted by the Career Center. Businesses from across the Southeast were on campus, and many students turned out in search of internship and employment opportunities.
The Deep Roots Festival is back in Milledgeville. The annual event returned last Saturday after a 3-year break due to COVID-19. Businesses showcased their products, and participants got the chance to enjoy some entertainment. GC360's Gracie Wood was there.
My whole idea behind the Spider-Man costume was just to spread happiness and cheer within Milledgeville, but also to help spread awareness for different fundraisers going on.
The Deep Roots Festival celebrates Milledgeville and its lively art and culture. After several years of social distancing, Deep Roots is back on the streets of downtown Milledgeville.
So it's been fun to see everybody walking around having fun. There are a lot of our students here. The music obviously comes out tonight, so it's really just a great opportunity to experience Milledgeville.
Local businesses, artists, and organizations set up their tents for everyone to walk through at the festival.
Connections with people, meeting new people, giving them my card, hoping to gain a relationship with different people.
I really like seeing the reactions of people walking by, that my paintings give them an emotion, and that's what I always want them to do.
Many GC students are experiencing Deep Roots for the very first time.
I'm most excited for the food and looking at art. I love looking at art whenever I go to a festival like this, so yeah.
Battle of the Bands winner High Speed Dreams performed on the local-only stage.
So basically, the band met back in February for Battle of the Bands at GCSU's homecoming, and ever since then we've just been playing around Milledgeville until some of us graduated and some of us are still in school here.
See, they're shirtless, but I got the cool sunglasses, so that's...
Attendees could pay for tickets to see Granville, The Collection, and Willie Jones at the concert stage. The Deep Roots Festival was an overall hit for its first one since the pandemic. Grace Wood reporting for GC360.
After the break, Owen McDaniel is here to fill us in on the world of sports.
And a scary ride with GC's housing department.
They said I couldn't dream. Called me a piece of trash and swore that's all I'd ever be. Said a bottle couldn't see the ocean. Give up. Go back to the dumpster. But I didn't listen. I made my way. And now, I am what I've always wanted to be.
Get caught buzz driving, and you could do some hard time.
Craig, knock it off.
Sorry, Mom. It could cost you around $10,000 in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates. And that could set you back a few years. Buzzed, busted, and broke. Because buzz driving is drunk driving.
Welcome back. It's time now for a look at sports.
On Tuesday, the Bobcat men's basketball team traveled to Athens to take on the Georgia Bulldogs in a preseason exhibition match. Georgia College kept it close, even coming to within 2 points of the lead with 9 minutes left in the game. However, UGA pulled away and won by a score of 66-52. The Bobcats' season opener is next Friday at North Greenville. The Bobcats have a new coach this year. Even though they lost the game at UGA, he's hoping to take the team to new heights this season. Over the summer, Georgia College's men's basketball team underwent a head coaching transition. After careful consideration of several candidates, a decision was made. In a June 23rd press conference, Athletic Director Wendell Stadden and then President-elect Kathy Cox announced that former assistant coach Ryan Aquino had been named the new head basketball coach. Aquino, a former GCSU basketball player himself, then posed for pictures and addressed the press for the first time as the Bobcats' new head coach. Aquino says that the choice was easy. Georgia College has always been the right place for him.
It just felt like it was the right calling for me I had such a great undergrad experience and wanted to, start into coaching, and everything kind of lined up for me.
Coach Aquino also explained his coaching philosophy that allows for fun, but also holds the players accountable.
That takes after how I want the program to be, is to be able to have a good time and enjoy their experience, but when it's time to get to work, it's time to get to work, and I think myself and all of our team is kind of picking up on it together.
Senior forward Christian Kohnman says that he and the other players were all excited when they heard who was named the head coach. Coach Aquino will have the opportunity to build on the success of last season's team, who went 21-8 and made it to the NCAA Southeast Regional Tournament. On to volleyball now. Last weekend, the GCSU volleyball team played 2 games against Flagler University, winning the first and losing the second, both matches going to 5 sets. During the second game, middle blocker Brooke Roberts broke the Georgia College single-season block record with her 123rd block of the season. Friday, the women play Flagler once more in their last regular season game before the PBC tournament. That's all for sports news this week. Back to you, Bella and Jaylon.
Thanks, Owen. And how does the weather look for the rest of the week? For that, I'll hand it over to Grace Wood.
Thanks, Bella. Today's skies are Friday will also be a warm day with a high of 78 and the low of 61. It will be a little cloudy throughout the day and night. Winds could reach up to 5 to 10 miles per hour. Take your umbrellas and your raincoats because there are going to be some rainy days ahead of us. Temperatures will most likely stay in the low 80s and the low 60s. This weekend, Saturday, is expected to be mostly cloudy with a chance of rain in the evening. Sunday will start out with some showers and remain cloudy in the afternoon. Next week will be mostly cloudy with scattered showers. Back to you, Bella.
Thanks for that weather report, Grace. This weather has me in the spirit for some fall festivities. Many GC students were feeling the same way, so Georgia College brought them a pumpkin patch to front campus.
A day of fun on GC's front campus with students trying out their skills in pumpkin decoration.
We hired a vendor that could bring a bunch of pumpkins to us, and they also bring decorations. And so any Georgia College student can come by and pick out a pumpkin and decorate it. Or if they just want a pumpkin, they can just get a pumpkin as long as they sign up with CAP.
With Fall Fest going on and Halloween closing in, the Campus Activities Board felt that GC needed another big event for the season and came up with the pumpkin patch idea. They opted to bring a pumpkin patch to campus because it's easier than organizing a trip to the countryside.
If we didn't bring a pumpkin patch here, we would take them to a pumpkin patch. That really limits you to only like 50 students, and it takes a solid amount of time out of people's days. Normally it takes between like 3 and 4 hours just to get people to a pumpkin patch and back. We base it on the fair trip that we did recently. Okay. It takes about an hour to get to most of the farms around here. and you probably want to spend a solid amount of time there.
The event featured over 250 pumpkins in a variety of sizes. A large stock of art supplies are made available as well, allowing students to decorate their pumpkins with rhinestones, ribbons, googly eyes, and much more. Attendees were also treated to gift bags filled with candy, courtesy of GC Dining Services. This is Jaylon Brooks, reporting for GC360. And still in the spirit of Halloween, GC Housing took some students to Six Flags Fright Fest. Let's just see how scary it was. GC360's Lily Murphy went along for the ride.
Halloween was this past Monday, but the GCSU Housing Department was ready to get into the spooky spirit. On October 21st, the department took a group of students in search of thrilling frights off campus to Six Flags Fright Fest.
For housing, we came up with a plan of how to do it. We provided transportation to and from. In terms of reaching out to everybody to be on time with the pricing, that was kind of very difficult just because Six Flags does initially have us do 6 weeks in advance. But honestly, the hard work paid off and everybody enjoyed it.
The group consisted of 35 students. After they made their 2-hour trip, the party got to enjoy the creepy atmosphere of the park.
I think it was a lot different. There were a lot more workers around, people in costumes. All of the workers with the rides were a lot more interactive. It was interesting being in the park at night as well. Everything was lit up very nice. There were fog machines everywhere. It was just a different atmosphere, but I really liked it.
We did the haunted attractions, so we went into the haunted houses. That was like my favorite just because I love getting scared. The actors are really good.
While students enjoy being scared, let's not forget about those who do the scaring.
So I'm a scare actor for Six Flags, and it kind of depends on where you're at, what your job is. Me personally, I'm in a haunted house. So it's basically our job is just being put somewhere and trying to scare people.
Although the main goal of Fright Fest is to scare people, there are those who just can't be scared.
So first of all, this girl could not be scared. She also had a dance battle with the guy next to me, and the guy next to me in the room is in this like horrifying makeup, and she came in moonwalking into my room, followed by the scare actor who was breakdancing. She goes, "I won," and then she just backs herself out of my room. I mean, again, we want to scare people, but sometimes we don't get everybody, and when they're funny and respectful, it's the greatest experience of your life.
It's good to know that Halloween isn't always about the scares. Lily Murphy and Emily Smith report from GC360.
Wow. Thanks, Lily. Time now for the latest in the entertainment world. For that, we cross over to our Jenny.
Thanks, Jaylon. It was a sad week for the entertainment industry. The rapper Takeoff was shot to death outside a bowling alley in Houston, Texas. At only 28, he had accomplished so much in the music industry on his own and as a former member of the rap group Migos. He will be missed. The flu is going around here at Georgia College, and I unfortunately caught it last week. However, this allowed me to watch a lot of movies and TV shows. Some of my favorites from Netflix are New Girl and Community. On Hulu, I binged a few seasons of American Horror Story, Love Island, and Scream Queens. Make sure to stay hydrated and well-rested, Bobcats. It's not fun being sick.
That's it for GC360 News this week. I'm Jaylon Brooks.
And I'm Isabellea Lende. When we are not on the air, we keep you up to date on our social media pages. That's at facebook.com/BobcatMultimedia and at GC360 News for Twitter and Instagram. Always available to you, GC360, where news comes full circle.